What's going on, guys? So today I wanted to address a question that I have received multiple times over the years since I created my channel, and I don't think I have ever addressed it. And that question is, should I buy a WRX or an STI? And my opinion varies depending on which year we're talking about. So I'm going to break this down into two sections because basically everything changed in 2015. So the first part, I want to address everything built prior to 2015. And the second part is 2015 till present day, 2019. And I also want to state that this is specifically for those people who have committed to buying a Subaru. So I'm not going to compare a WRX or an STI versus an Evo or an Audi or any other car. This is specifically comparing the WRX to the STI. So I am in the US and I will be speaking to US domestic market Subarus. If you're watching from abroad, I apologize as this information most likely won't apply to you. Let's talk about the 2002 WRX through the 2014 WRX and the 2004 STI through the 2014 STI. I realize that there are variations and differences between each of these years, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to lump them together into one huge group. So if you're considering any of these years, my first piece of advice would be get what you really want. If you truly want a WRX, go for the WRX. However, if you really want an STI, go for the STI. I do not recommend settling for the WRX if that's not what you really want, because ultimately you're not going to be happy and you're constantly going to be trying to find excuses about why the WRX was the better buy and why you're happy with it, even though you're really not. In fact, this is what I did. I looked at WRXs and STIs. Obviously, I ultimately wanted an STI. But there were a couple WRXs that were a good price, but I could not commit to them. They were not exactly what I wanted. I truly wanted an STI, and I am very happy that I held out for the STI. So when comparing a WRX to an STI, there are quite a few people who will say the WRX is just as good as the STI. The only difference is the engine makes a little bit less horsepower, and that could easily be overcome by tuning and modifications. In my opinion, that's really not accurate, and that certainly does not tell the full story. The STI has a number of things done to it under the hood and under the chassis that you may not see that sets it apart from the WRX. So let's start listing some things. Number one, the STI comes with a 6-speed transmission where the WRX only has a 5-speed. Not only does this give you an extra gear, but it's much stronger and robust than what's in the WRX. A lot of WRX guys will know the transmission does not hold up well over 350 wheel horsepower or more. There are some modifications you could do to it, but a lot of guys just switch over to the 6-speed. Additionally, the STI has thicker axles than the WRX. It has aluminum lower control arms. It has a 5x114.3 lug pattern as opposed to the WRX, which has a 5x100. This means that you're going to have a much wider wheel selection with an STI. The STI has additional bracing. It has a rear diffuser and a couple other things such as DCCD, which can help you whenever you're driving, especially in the snow. I realize that these are not deal breakers for everybody and some people don't care, but to me, it's worth having in an STI. I appreciate pretty much all of those things on my car, and it's something that really makes the car cost more. So it's not just the STI name that you're paying for, you're also getting other features with that STI. So with that being said, I'm not trying to say anybody has to buy a WRX or that they have to buy an STI. If you want a WRX, get a Rex. If you want an STI, go for the STI. I'm simply trying to point out that there are more factors aside from horsepower that separates an STI from a WRX. And if you go with a WRX when you really want an STI, you might regret it later. So moving right along, in 2015, Subaru relaunched their WRX with the FA20 turbocharged motor, and they revamped the STI. However, they hung on to the older EJ motor that is found in the previous STIs. I'm not going to get into all the differences between the newer WRX and the STI, quite frankly, because I don't know all of them. But the new WRX does come with a 6-speed transmission. It does come with the 5x114.3 lug pattern, so you have a wide selection of wheels. And they improved a number of other features to include electronic steering, which really makes it comparable to the STI. Additionally, the WRX is now offered with a 6-speed transmission. So a lot of issues that were common on the prior WRX, Subaru came along, corrected, and they fixed it for the 2015 Plus WRX, which really levels the playing field. So if you were going to ask me, should I buy a 2015 Plus WRX or STI? First of all, my advice would stay the same as the first part. If you really want an STI, go for the STI. because I think if you settle, you're going to be unhappy. However, I would have to say that the new WRX is a huge step up from the older WRX, and you get a whole lot more car for your money. So I would be more likely to buy a 2015 plus WRX than I would be to get an STI. Again, if you want an STI, go for it, but the 2015 plus WRX is a force to be reckoned with and is a much better buy than the older WRXs, in my opinion. So I am interested to hear what you guys think of the STI versus the WRX, so drop that in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. Ding that notification bell, and as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. But here in the US, we got the WRX. The STI also has a much larger wheel selection since it has the 114 point. The STI also has a much wider wheel selection as it has the 5x1.3 point wider wheel selection as it uses the 5x114.3 wheel lug pattern. That's not what I want to say, damn it. So I am in the US and I will be speaking to US domestic market Subarus. If you are viewing from another country, I apologize. I don't know what I'm saying. It also has a driver-controlled center differential. It is electronical. Damn. Driver-controlled center differential. It is electronic. It's not manual, but it is nice to have, and it helps adjust your torque